Hello, everybody. Welcome again to New York Talk. And for the final time this season, we have a preview to do. We've got Wigan Athletic on Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, across the Pennines. Could be fun. It doesn't matter. It could be 6-0 loss. It doesn't really matter, does it? We will talk about that. We're going to talk about the EFL's new broadcasting deal because that's going to significantly impact Rotherham United. Let's talk about how we think we'll settle, not the way. We will go from there. First of all, Michael, how are you doing?
I'm all very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very, very good. Thank you very much. And Danny's back with us. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, lads. Up the Millers.
Up the Millers, indeed. We've got lots of people with us. Kim Hayward, YouTube user, Connor Simpson, Jack McCord, Andrew Barlow, Glenn Corrie. John Morell says, "Evening, lads. We're all having a party when Derby County die." John's having a good Sunday, I think.
Harsh, John. Harsh.
Harsh, but we'll probably not mention Derby today. That might be the mention they get.
I didn't even know they played today.
There is only one place to start for this podcast today, and that is with this stupid T-shirt this stupid Hawaiian shirt that I decided to make up, which has taken on a life of its own. So me and Danny and Rick had a little trip today. I don't know if anybody's seen that on the Rotherham United's Twitter page. We had a little trip down to New York Stadium to meet somebody called Matt Taylor. We made the Hawaiian shirt. Matt Taylor liked the Hawaiian shirt. He didn't request one, didn't he? I wouldn't say he wanted, but he said he quite liked it. So we had a third one made up, and I don't know what else to say, to be honest. Matt Taylor now has a Hawaiian shirt with his own face on.
Yeah, and he's actually worn it as well. I'm sure it'll be at the bottom of his drawer if he's got any sense from this point on. But either way, very nice to meet the fella, and a lovely bloke as well. Very accommodating, considering the fact that he didn't know. Sam Todd had not told him what was actually happening.
That's the best bit. He just sort of walked in and went, "I've just said to him, there's a cringe thing happening. There's like a cringe thing that we're going to give you." Lord knows what must have been going through his mind when us two just sort of slump in, right awkward, and just go, "Oh, we've got you a shirt." But he's either he actually really does like it, or Matt Taylor's an incredible actor.
True.
I think it might be the latter, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him as he was on his way out to his car, and he really did look genuinely chuffed with it, if I'm being honest.
Thanks to the club for setting that up. We asked if they wanted it, so we went down, and that was good fun. So thank you for that. We have no inside information, unfortunately. They didn't give us tomorrow's starting 11 or anything like that, sadly. But we can't have everything, can we? Which brings us on to the next part, where we have a draw to do. As you will have seen on the social medias, there is a third shirt for Matt Taylor's face, which we have had made up. Well, this is the second one. And everybody that donated £2 or more got entered into the prize draw. It's been all over our social media, so if you haven't seen it, apologies. You should follow us, and then you'll be able to see. There was a few people that donated anonymously. I can't draw out an anonymous.
I have an admittance. One of the anonymous donators was my mum, because she wanted to donate to us but not receive the shirt in any way, shape, or form.
Who donated it to you? Can I ask her, Danny? I don't know whether she's there or listening, but if she didn't want to receive the shirt, why did she put the reference shirt in there?
That's a good question. Very good question. I'm not sure.
Well,
when about 30 people donate, over £100 raised to the hospice, which is a great start. More on that in a moment. So just some bits of paper. Everybody's on. So if you people donated a tenner, that's 5 goes into the draw. And this is really basic. I could have done something fancy, but no. We have paper in a New York Talk hat. That's how we do it on this podcast. So
we're professionals. That's why.
Let's not wait on Matt Taylor. So we will pick out this one. We have Adam Horton. Adam, my apologies. That's not how you spell your name. So Adam, if you get in touch with us, we will arrange it. Whether if you're going to Wigan tomorrow, we can bring it to Wigan, or something else, we will sort it out one way or another. Now, this again brings us on to something else to do with the show. We will talk about football in a minute, probably. As we know, Kimbo Sports Arranger helped us with the stickers. And there's been demand. I don't know why, but there has been demand for more Matt Taylor shirts. And we thought it was a really, really good opportunity to raise some more money for the hospital, to be honest with you. So if you go on to Kimbo Sports website and go into the New York Talk section, there is Matt Taylor Hawaiian shirts you can purchase. Pre-order, so it takes time to go. You're not going to get one before Wigan game. But yeah, there's a spiel on there, but all the profits that come, all the above and beyond the actual costs will go towards the hospice. So if you want a Matt Taylor Hawaiian shirt, go and get one. And like I said, it goes towards the hospice, which we love. That's our favourite bit about it, is that the money's away to the hospice. So yeah.
What have we created here? Like, honestly,
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you.
What moments have we started here?
It's like when Divvy over here said that about Barry Bannon, and that took a life of its own. Last season.
I won't be doing that again. I'm not falling for egg like that again. No chance.
Or it's like when somebody said they'd eat Swedish fish if we got to 1,000 subscribers. Then suddenly, within a month, we got 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, subscribe. Well, let's move on. That may not be the last you hear of these F shirts. It almost certainly isn't. Let's move on to Wigan. We're going to talk about Wigan's situation as best we can. Obviously, we aren't Wigan fans. We are not Wigan journalists. We don't have the detail of exactly what's happening in Wigan, but we'll cover the information that we have, because I think that's probably where we should, really. Josh starts with Wigan players might be striking. There are also maybe a pitch invasion on the 86th minute. Russ Vernon says there's no strikes planned, according to the Wigan reporter I spoke to earlier. So if you've not seen this, it is an absolute joke what the owners are doing to that football club. The owners, has been well reported, 4 times out of the last year, they've been paid late. The staff, playing staff and non-playing staff, as far as I'm aware. This month, all the non-playing staff, I think, have been paid, which is good, very good. The players who were in contract for next season have been paid, but the players who are not in contract for next season have not been paid. Some worrying wording of they've used all the resources they have available to pay the players and staff that they have at the minute, which is a worrying statement, to be honest with you.
Wait, hang on. Wasn't one of the things, one of the clauses the EFL set up with their point deduction that they had to put aside a set amount of funds for wages for the rest of the season?
Yep.
So how does that make sense? They put aside wages for the people who'll be there the next season as well, and he's just said to the players at a contract rate, you don't deserve your last month's pay. Off you go.
Yeah.
It gets legit worse. I think that's a worse thing than just paying them late. Because if it's everybody, then something's seriously wrong. But if you've picked and choose who you pay at this such a time, it makes it worse, because it makes it look very intentional and not various mistakes and whatever that's happening at the football club. It absolutely stinks, in my opinion. Absolutely stinks.
Yeah, it does. There are Russell's right. From what I've read, there's, I think, Paul Kendrick, who is the Wigan Paul Davis, essentially, who is very, very good and very in the know. I don't think he's not mentioned any strikes from the players. He's confirmed a few. For example, James McLean has confirmed he is going to play. I think he's one of the out-of-contract players. One of the few times we have to say we're hats off to James McLean, because he did. If it's me, Mick, and I know this is very selfish, and maybe it's not selfish. If that's me, I'm not playing. I am not putting my career on the line for people who are not paying me. But then there's the fans to think of, and he wants to represent the fans. So it is. I feel real sorry for the players for multiple reasons.
Yeah, 100%. It's a horrible situation for the fans. It's a horrible situation for the out of contract players as well. You know, it's their livelihood. So, I mean, from from a Wigan Athletic owner's point of view, I have absolutely zero sympathy, and they deserve everything that they get. Absolutely. And I don't know. I feel for the supporters. I feel for the staff and the players. And it's just a horrible situation. It's horrible for them because they don't know whether their club's going to be around ultimately.
Yeah.
They will, I would guess, face sanctions now as a result of not paying the players on time. They were told that they would, so you would imagine that will happen. So are they going to start? Are they not only going to get relegated this season, but then start next season with a points deduction? Or will the EFL be the EFL, wait while they get to top of league and then hit them with points deduction? You know, you just don't know. So I feel for him. It's just a horrible situation, and you know that on times like this, you know, you understand that running a football club is just basically a money pit, you know, and it can be, I imagine, can be difficult to make ends meet. However, it's this issue of not paying certain people that suggests that it's either deliberate or incompetence. And they just thought, well, you know, we ain't got enough money to pay everybody. They'll not be here next year, so stuff them kind of attitude.
Yeah,
it's people's livelihoods, like I say, and it's just not right. It's just not right at all. So I've every sympathy for Wigan supporters and Wigan players, and yeah, I mean, McLean said he'll play, and good on him. You know, we all know he's very forthright in his views, and he wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah,
and he obviously loves that football club. So, you know, good on him, absolutely.
Yeah. Chris Page said Wigan Athletic players were given extra day off. They were given Saturday off. I don't know if they've been in today, to be honest with you. I assume they have been in training. I haven't seen that, actually. Cheryl Stud says, I think there wasn't enough money, and that's how they prioritised the funds. Yeah. John Morrell says, the problem with these days is wanting owners out is one thing. Getting somebody to purchase is a different story. Well, that's the thing. If somebody else was available to buy Wigan, wouldn't they have bought Wigan 2 years ago, a year ago, 18 months ago? That then causes another issue.
I think one of the problems here, and Reg has put in the comments there about Ashley Fletcher, you know, saying, I bet he wished he came to us. Well, Wigan were offering stupid money. They were offering stupid money for his wages. I don't know where the rumour was at the time of something like 16 grand a week.
Between 15 and 18 is what I've heard, a few different reports.
So, I mean, does it come as a surprise to anybody that they can't afford to pay him?
Yeah.
Because obviously other members of staff, other players are going to be on similar amounts of money. It strikes me as a set of owners that have got absolute delusions of grandeur and don't actually know what they're doing. Why, when you know that you're in financial difficulties, bearing in mind this was in January that transfer took place, you're in financial difficulties, you've already been...
It was August.
Say again?
It was August, but they'd already not played the players last season, hadn't they?
Right, well, whenever the transfer was, they'd already been in trouble for not paying the players on time. Yeah. So, I've got an idea. Let's bring somebody else in on 16 or 18 grand a week and add another however many thousands of pounds a month to the wage bill that we can't already pay. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah. John Morrell, the 15k was well spent, wasn't it?
Well, exactly. Precisely.
The thing is with someone like Ashley Fletcher is different because, again, I know exactly how the loan works, but he'll probably still be being paid because he'll be paid by his parent club, and then Wigan would have to pay the parent club the money. So the loan players, I don't suspect, will be in an issue. Yeah.
Madness. Absolutely.
Tony Stewart. Yeah, I mean, we played them in the first away game of last season, Danny, and I said this to Mick earlier. When I sat there watching their new owner, or I think he's the chairman, there were red flags straight away because he was very look at me, and he talked about the Premier League straight away. It just raised. I don't know why. There was something not right about it. We've seen foreign owners come in quite often, and sometimes they work beautifully. We've seen that in the past. Sometimes less so. He just seemed to enjoy it a bit too much, if that's possible, and it didn't sit right at the time.
I mean, it's sort of like we've been saying with the overpaying and stuff. It's sort of just come back to bite them now, and like even last season, I didn't think Wigan were anything special, even when we played them early on in the season. If it weren't for a Doffin, bless him, with that with that own goal, it'd have been a tidy draw. But yeah, Wigan's chairman sort of has like a weird sense, like a weird delusion of grandeur. I mean, yeah, Wigan have been, in the Premier League in the past. They've won the FA Cup this century. This nearly like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. It was the 13 FA Cup. So yeah, so they won the FA Cup 10 years ago. So to bring in the argument in the Premier League, I can sort of see where it was coming from with that, because Wigan have been there very recently. But at the same time, it's like we've seen Tony Stewart mention the Premier League, and we take a bit tongue in cheek, like Rotherham in the Premier League. We've never been there before. But for him to come to Wigan, get them out of League One, which is like, yeah, fair enough. The pipped us to league, fair enough. But to then come into the Championship and have a fair enough a disaster. We're paying players. It's like, what's going on? If it had happened once, and it's like, yep, sorry, we won't do it again, and then they'd have sorted their house out, and you can sort of go, all right, fair enough. But it's happened 5 times. This is the 5th time they've been paid late. So it's like something's not connecting right at that football club, and I don't know what it is. If it's the chairman, because didn't they like try and approach the chairman, and the manager had to fly out to go and tell him something.
It's fine. The bloke who's parading around the pitch is just a mouthpiece for somebody else.
He's the chairman, not the owner.
Yeah, and it's like you had to fly out and tell him something. It's like, well, hang on, if your club's like in the crisis, yes, if you are the mouth of it, and like the quote unquote PR person of the owners by being the chairman, you should still be there when the club's in hard times and take the flak for it. But for him just to go away and effectively be chased by the manager, it's like, that's when all red flags started going off for me. It's like, that shouldn't be happening. You should have a chairman who's at more or less all your home games in a season, regardless of what nationality they are, because they've bought that and invested in it. I mean, Tony Stewart's at nearly every home game in a season, and a fair handful of away games. Like, do you remember when he was in Plymouth and we did Plymouth away? And he went into the pub with a few Rotherham fans. Like we've said about Tony Stewart and his purse strings before on the podcast, and a lot of fans have said it on Twitter, but at least he knows how to run a football club efficiently and pay players on time. I bet you Wigan would be crying out for a man like Tony Stewart, and I pray that they get someone like him, because if not, any Wigan fans watching, I'm sorry to say, but it's going to go one direction, and it's not a good way.
No, that's the worry. John Morrell says the Wigan chairman had vibes of the Hong Kong hairdresser Carson Young, suggesting, look at me, I bought a football club. That's exactly what it was. On that when we played it, it was exactly, look at me. Everybody, look, guys, I bought your football club. Adulation, please. Yeah. We don't have enough more information. I think that's probably best to leave it. But there might be protests. There is talk of a pitch invasion on the 86th minute. I don't know the significance of that, of the 86th minute, to be honest with you. And we don't know if that's going to happen.
I think from the 86th minute or the 85th, or I've seen a few times knocking about, it's to show the level of respect for the applause on the 83rd minute that they've got planned. Like, give that a little bit of a window and then protest the ownership, because obviously they don't want them two things to clash, a respectful thing and then a protest. So I can sort of understand 86 minutes, but I've seen all sorts on Twitter. They're planning like a march to the stadium. Getting to the stadium about 2:30, I think, and like going to be a march from 1:30. I can't remember the name of where they're setting off from. But it looks like it is gathering pace. I mean, hopefully there isn't a pitch invasion, because it's never nice to see. But
not a negative one.
Yeah, not a negative one, or a pitch invasion where negative things happen. For example, at Gillingham. But I've seen some fans going, let's do a Blackpool, go on the pitch and just stop the match and protest it.
Yeah. Jamie, this is another point. This is the applause you talk about. It says, so a Wigan fan taking their loved one to their last game before they pass, sharing that the last foot of Wigan is this shambles, which is puts a bit of context. Football isn't just some guy owning a football club. We know this is why we talk about it for couple hours a week on this damn podcast and a bit more plus on that. These I don't think these people care. I don't think these owners care, to be honest with you, which is a tragedy in itself. From a selfish point of view, Mick, I'm hoping the process don't go ahead. If I was Wigan fans, I would look into something similar, to be honest with you. But from a selfish point of view, this is probably going to be, let's move on now to Rotherham United. This is probably going to be Richard Wood's last hurrah in a Rotherham shirt. I am desperate for him to get the proper send-off he absolutely deserves. I've just got these images of Richard Wood scoring a back post towering header on the 89th minute.
Yeah.
And he just walks down tunnel. That's it. He just walks off pitch and we. But this is why we want, from a selfish point of view, we want our season ending the right way. From that point of view, don't we?
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great if that was to happen. So hopefully it does. But I think, as we've just alluded to for the last 15 minutes, there are probably bigger issues here than from the home team's point of view than saying thank you for a great season or a great career. It's the existence of their football club that they're fighting for, if you like. So. I can see both sides of the argument. I'd love to be able to give Richard Wood a proper send off. That's always assuming that he's not going to be here next season.
That's it.
We don't know that, do we? I mean, we've said it since the inception of this podcast that this will be his last season as a Rotherham United player. And 4 years on, or 3 years on, or however long it is, feels like about 15. He's still here. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, won't we? But yeah, it might put a bit of a dampener on it, but then again, it may not as well, because I can't see there being any sort of animosity between the two sets of fans. I think everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Absolutely everyone, and nor should there be anybody. I mean, they're a good set of supporters. Wigan always have been. They're a club very similar to us in terms of size, surrounded by so-called bigger clubs. They
are actually surrounded by bigger clubs, though, aren't they?
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, they can actually legitimately say that they are. We're surrounded by clubs who think they're big clubs. So it's one of them things. Isn't it? But
to be fair, their season's not over yet. You know what I mean? You've got to bear that in mind. Does that not count towards their massiveness?
No.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to the Celine Dion number again when Peterborough banked an 89th minute winner in against them. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But I mean, we could, if you want to have a chat about Lee Doughty, we can have a chat about Lee Doughty if you want.
Should we save that? We'll see if we've got time and pull Lee Doughty.
Yeah.
It's the fact we were in New York Stadium and Mick was ready to have a rant about Lee Doughty because he had it on in the stadium whilst we were waiting. But it's the fact you could see Mick just starting to twitch about it. Oh, brilliant.
Anyway.
Paramount UK, we'll finish on this one. Call me crazy, but I respect their decision to protest,
Yeah.
No protest, absolutely. Let's move back on to Rotherham United, Danny. I think we've all got a bit of a clearer head now, almost a week on from Monday. How are you feeling about the week? It seems like it's been such a long time since that Middlesbrough game, to be honest with you. Are you still sort of on the high of championship again?
I'm sort of the opinion of we've still got a game to play.
Yeah,
that's how it's felt this week. It's felt like the season ended on Monday, and it was just like it's come around to Monday again. It's like, I have to be out the house at 8:00 to get ready for the away day. So yeah, it's a weird feeling, but it's a feeling that we have to appreciate because of the last 7 seasons. It's not gone down to the final day, and we've had that nice little relax. So I can't knock it at all. And it's nice to go into a game where, regardless of how we play, who we play, what the result is, anything like that, we're still going to be in the same league next season. And that's a massive thing for me. Massive thing. Does it take away a bit of the nerves and the excitement? Yeah, we don't have that excitement of Gillingham at all. We don't have that excitement of the Cardiff game a couple of seasons ago. But at least we're not going anywhere this time.
No, we're not. John Wright points out we need a win. There's no trophy finishing 20th. Only the 18th place trophy.
Although the wrong reason I want us to do well and win, and other teams around us to do poorly, because I want to finish above Cardiff. How funny will that be?
Yeah, have to rain all over their parade, Danny. Is that what you're telling me you want to do?
Exactly. I want them to go to their game with umbrellas.
Yeah, I mean, all three teams above all four teams, including Huddersfield, are all in with a chance of getting that 18th place trophy. Really close. Huddersfield 50, QPR 50, us 49, Cardiff 49. It's anybody's game.
Tell you what would be interesting without Reading's points deduction, wouldn't it? Oof.
God, wasn't it just? Oh my word!
They'd be on 50 and all. They'd be on 50, I think.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah, you said that, but Reading have had this coming to them for a long time, and that points deduction was fully deserved. I have been banging that drum for 2 seasons now.
More than that.
Third season. Yeah. I think it is because I had to go on that Reading podcast and explain myself, didn't
I? Yeah, that was fun. That's why Mick doesn't do these opposition podcasts anymore.
Yeah.
Birmingham can still get the 18th place trophy, but they would need to lose. They would need a 7-goal. Huddersfield needs a 7-goal swing to finish 17th. Move on to Rotherham United. Matt Taylor said in his pre-match press conference that there's going to be some names that we don't recognise on the bench. Ben Wiles and Ollie Rathbone have been brought out of the firing line, I think the phrase he used, which makes perfect sense. I think a similar conversation probably happened with Cam Humphreys because he's had these knee issues. Chio's obviously out. He was ball boying today at a local cup final.
Yeah.
To be honest with the situation we're in, that's pretty exciting to us. If we see Hamish Douglas and maybe the couple of those lads who are on loan are allowed back now, Duros and McGuckin, I'd be really excited to see those three get on bench and maybe get 15, 20 minutes end because of the luxury we now have.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a much changed side, won't it? I can't see Victor playing. I think it'd be a very different side to the ones we've seen, which Matt Taylor's already alluded to, in some of his press conferences. So rightly so as well. Certainly the likes of Ben Wiles and Ollie Rathbone, they deserve that rest. Victor's got the shoulder injury that he's been having an injection for. So anybody that's carrying any form of knock is not going to see any action tomorrow, are they? On Monday?
I don't think you're stopping Victor playing.
Well, you said that. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be good to see some of the fringe players get a full 90 minutes. So I said fringe players. We've hardly got fringe players. We've not got a squad to talk on. So in comparison to a lot of teams in this division. So it'd be interesting to see what the lineup is. Anybody that gets 11 out of 11 on Fan Hub tomorrow deserves a pint at least.
Or you've cheated.
Yeah.
Somebody at club. Josh says Hemfrey to start. Also, all the loan players that are not injured also would, so we can have our final goodbyes. Yeah, there's obviously limits on the loan players. I think we've got 6, haven't we? So you can only have 5 of them anyway. Is one of them injured actually? Can't remember now. Probably. One of them's probably injured. Yeah. Knowing our luck. To be honest with you, Danny, there is only one person we all want to start, and I think that's what Josh has knit and tail head. We all want Richard Wood to get, probably in an ideal world, get 89 minutes in locker, and then take him off so he can get that ovation after having scored the winner, obviously.
Yeah, I think if the score's 0-0 on 89 minutes, leave Woody on because there's always that chance. Just play him up front just for laugh.
I agree.
And see if he scores. But if he's already scored, then that's when you have the 88th, 89th minute sub for him and give him that massive applause. But what was the other game he played up? Did he play up front briefly against Cardiff as well?
Yeah.
I reckon right because our only fit striker, like 100% fit striker, is probably Kelly because I know Hugo's had that knee thing as well, hasn't he? Well, yeah, he's had something as well. So can you imagine a front two of Kelly and Wood? It'd be like trying to get through a brick wall. But yeah, I just hope. There's a following of 4,200 of us going,
yeah.
roughly. Now, if you take Wood off in 89th minute and you've got 4,200 out of, call it 20,000 at the DW.
There won't be that many. There might be half the stadium might be Rotherham fans.
I'm not from the amount of ticket sales Wigan have made. I think they made 16k last time I checked, but they've got like 2 free tickets with every season ticket.
Right. So, yeah.
Yeah, but that's its own thing. But yeah, just having 4,500 clapping you going off, that'll be a special feeling, and it being an away game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, they get their average attendance last season for them was 10. That was obviously the League One. It will have increased this year.
What? Please tell me you mean 10,000.
No, 10 people. No, 10,000. Yeah. Yeah, Josh. Their average is 12,000. You'd expect higher on the last game of the season anyway. Yeah. John Morrell's for Birmingham got a young lad on the bench that might break Bellingham's youngest player record, which is pretty good. Send him over to our place next season if you can. Kim Hayward says Coventry is the one that's injured. It might be fit. I don't know, to be honest. We never actually found out what he actually did we? It was a hamstring something. No. We didn't know whether it was cramp, so that is possible. Jamie asks about Coyote. He's still injured. Love to see him back. I think he is still injured. Even if he wasn't, he is still technically on loan at MK Dons, who've just gone down, sadly for them. So even if he was available, he wouldn't be available for us. Now, I don't know how this works with Palmer mentions Jake Hull, Kieran Ruggleton, and Curtis DeRose because they're non-league loans. They are much more flexible in when they can come back. So I don't know if they will be available for us because their non-league seasons have finished for both of those clubs. All three of those clubs, sorry.
Jake Hull might be the only squeaky one with that because it's still it's not classed as a youth loan. It was a full loan to Buxton. But I think with McGuckin, DeRose, McWarn, who was the other one?
Oh yeah, McWarn.
There was another one. There was another one as well. Douglas, I think was it Douglas? Yeah. With those, they can still come into it because they were classed as youth loans.
Did Douglas go out on loan?
I can't remember. Sure. No, I don't think he did.
He's a bit younger, isn't he, Douglas? Douglas.
Yeah.
I think he's the year younger than McGuckin and DeRose.
Yeah, but I know McGuckin and DeRose did go out on loan to. Where did they go?
Scarborough and Gainsborough both did very well.
Yeah, Scarborough and Gainsborough did absolutely brilliantly. So I can see those two. They might even make starting 11, to be fair. And then you might have the youth players like Nat Ford. I forget his name. There was the young attacker who signed on as well.
Yeah, we should know his name. I've got you right.
That's really bad. Apologies. And then like Sam Greenhouse if he's still with us, and etc. You know those sort of lads. Bring those in. But what's the limit on match day changes to like comply with the fair play rule?
Technically 8, I think, but with our injury list, we can just play we want. I think.
Yeah.
You would hope to see maybe make this is dream scenario. We don't know the injuries, but I would love to see Kyoso get a game. I would love to see Kyoso get a full 90 minutes, just to get minutes under the belt and get more experience at championship level. I'd love to see Yelder get a game. I know Bramall's been great, but again, Yelder's might. Depending on what happens with Leeds, we're probably not going to see Yelder back at our place next season. So there's a few players like that I would want to see play, and this is the luxury of got in it.
Yeah, it is absolutely. I suspect we might see both of them tomorrow. Adolfin, I think, will play, and rightly so. I think Georgie Kelly will play, and possibly, like you said, some of the youth loans as well. Who knows? And frankly, who cares? Who cares?
Difficult for a podcast that's talking about the game to say who cares. To be honest with you,
well, I perhaps should have done a bit of research before and to find out who might be available or stuff like that, but I didn't. Sorry,
no, you don't. That's fine.
I'm not a research kind of guy, to be honest.
I've just done a quick note taking, and I think we've got 13 injuries, lads. Potentially 13 injuries. So we've got Chio out, Wiles out, Rathbone out, Humphreys potentially out, Peltier out, Wright out, Morrison out, Hugo potentially out, Ferguson out, Coventry out, Hall out, Victor maybe rested, and then Vickers as well.
I tell you what's been interesting. But before last weekend, I don't think we'd seen Sean Morrison for quite a long time. He's popped up in a lot of pictures in the last week or so, which may suggest to me that there is something there where he may well be looking to stay, which I would be all for going forward. I think he's your Richard Wood replacement, personally. He's probably as quick as Richard Wood. He's got the same aerial threat as Richard Wood. He's got a long throw. He's clearly a leader. He could be somebody that could be a really, really important player if you can keep him fit. That's the key thing with Sean Morrison. But this may be a conversation for a later date, probably. The referee is, I think it's Tim Robinson, who I will just double check our things now. We have had Tim Robinson before. Once I get past all the EFL adverts on their stupid website, I will find out for you. When are we playing tomorrow? 3:00. Tim Robinson is the referee. Yeah, that's right. Does anybody before I look at it, anyone remember anything about Tim Robinson?
No, don't ring a bell.
Doesn't ring a bell. He refereed the game against West Brom. There was a 3-1 win.
He were all right in that, to be fair.
He was. He gave us a penalty, didn't he? Am I right in saying?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on. Tim Robinson's the referee. He's done us twice this season. The 3-1 against West Brom and the away 0-0 against Middlesbrough as well. Wigan will be looking to do double over us. Imagine if Wigan went down and did double over somebody. You'd be fuming. I mean, it's little old Rotherham, I know, but that's what they're looking to do. Anything else on the game?
Don't think so. I mean, there's not a lot to talk about with it, though, is there?
No.
I'm still trying to work out starting 11.
Well, even then, I mean, again, we've gone through that in as much depth as you possibly can, haven't we? You know, there is no way that anybody's going to be able to give any sort of indication other than Matt Taylor as to who's going to start tomorrow. It's just, and
he wouldn't tell us.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't ask.
We didn't ask. No,
that's horrific journalism from us, but
yeah. I think it's time to let Mick off the lead. Oh, wow! Talk about a segue. Thank you, Russ. You legend. Russ Verdon comes in with the comments. Referee tomorrow is Tim Robinson. Assistants Richard Wilde and Sean Massey. Fourth official, Lee Doughty. Mick, Lee Doughty, discuss.
Well, I mean, I noticed Mike put a comment up earlier on. So isn't he the ref conned by the cynical professionalism of the Sheffield Wednesday player today? The bigger issue is another player like Jordan Hugill cheating, particularly. Well, there's two points there, and you're absolutely right in terms of the Jordan Hugill thing. That I assume you're talking about the embarrassing dive in front of the pursuing Cardiff player, which was an absolute joke, and he deserved a yellow card for it, frankly. But I mean, he didn't have a great day, Mr. Doughty, today. Whether or not he was conned, I can't understand how he was conned. Having watched that, it was a woeful decision. It wasn't and couldn't possibly ever have been a foul, no matter how many times you've seen it or how many times he's right in front of it, and I feel for our previous manager. I really do.
You can say his name next time.
Oh, that's fine. I know there's been a lot of talk today about Paul won this, Paul won that. Ha 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 ha. I don't subscribe to that point of view. But to lose out on the playoffs with a decision like that, shocking. It's absolutely shocking, really. It's a dive all day long. But,
were there a player covering as well?
There were two players. There was the goalkeeper and the defender.
So even if it was a penalty, it wasn't a red card because there's a man there.
There's an argument. I think the rules have been changed again. That the covering defender is no longer relevant if it's a clear goal scoring opportunity. But
Okay.
Looking at that one today, it's not even a clear goal scoring opportunity because the goalkeeper's bearing down on the striker. The striker who's running parallel to the goal, not towards the goal.
Yeah.
He's not in control of the ball either. But then he wouldn't be in control of the ball because he's throwing his arms back like Tom Daly coming off an 18-metre board, isn't he? Or 10-metre board. So anyway, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the Wednesday player. It's embarrassing for the referee because the referee's close enough to see that that's a clear dive. You can't make big decisions like that, in my view. Not given the context of the game, the importance of the game. You can't possibly be sure. You cannot possibly be sure there that's a foul. But the point is, and what for me, what bears relevance to the Rotherham United is that we've seen these decisions all season long, and we see them in the Premier League as well, where we get the old "well, there was contact" argument, which absolutely holds zero water at all. But it's not us. It's not us at the butt end of this time. So I suppose we can smile and move on, can't we?
Yeah, John Morell says it's a real shame. He feels so sorry for Derby. No, move on.
I'm not wearing that. I don't care about Derby County. I have no interest in Derby County whatsoever, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful manner. I have no interest in them, and I've got no allegiance to them whatsoever. I don't subscribe to some of the comments today taking the mickey out of Paul Warne because he decided to leave us for Derby County. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. He's taken an opportunity to make a better life and a better future for his family on more money, and we're saying he shouldn't have done it. Why? Because it upsets a few of us. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we're allowed to be upset. I think I'm over it. I think, but I understand some people are not over it because.
Well, get over it. Pull yourselves together. Grow up.
Fair enough.
Come on.
No, I think it's fine to be upset about it. I think it's
no,
fine.
It's not anymore. It's not anymore, is it? It's May. It is. This happened in God only knows when this happened. It's months and months and months ago. You can't still be upset about it.
Yeah, but if it wasn't Paul, it was somebody else, and they've thought, oh, the grass is greener, and it isn't quite as green as it was. Again, that's not my that's not my thought, but obviously that's the thought of some people on there. If it was something I didn't like, I would probably take great pleasure in it.
It's not about the grass being greener, is it? You're being offered the opportunity to do the same job for a lot more money. Why would you not take it? Yeah. So move on.
Let's move on. Glenn Corrie says, let's move on. Yes. I think Sheffield Wednesday, by the way, have broken a record for the most amount of points gained and not going up automatically in the Football League. 96 points, not going up automatically.
Oh, just wait.
All I'm saying, they're going to cling to that points total. If they don't go up, they'll still cling to that points total.
Yeah.
We got more points than you in League One. It's like, you still didn't go up automatically. We ended up second, nearly won league.
Yeah.
A few comments on the Paul Warne situation. Jamie says, completely agree, mate. We've done our job. We've done our job. Wish Paul Warne one of the best. Simon Thorns. We got Super Matty Taylor out of it, so it swings. Steve Adams go back. It was my only gripe was that he took the whole backroom staff with him, which I think is a valid point as well. Mike Miller can't believe that people upset about a guy leaving his employment to another employer. Agrees totally with mixed sentiments. Yeah, I'm more on a mixed side, but I understand people's frustration. But let's move on from that. We're going to have 5 minutes to talk about the new EFL broadcasting deal, which is coming into place not next season, the season after, which is going to create some interesting scenes next season for the desperation of teams trying to stay in the Championship, because the financial benefit of being in the Championship in 2024 will be significant. There is the EFL have said it's a 50% increase on the value of the compared to the current rights deal. There will be now over 1,000 games. I've got the press release up. Over 1,000 games broadcast live each season, exclusively on Sky Sports. That involves 10 games per fixture window. There's been no times that have been on, so we haven't said we're bringing back Thursday night football. They haven't said we're bringing back Saturday night football, but there are going to be 10 games per weekend, not played at 3 o'clock because the blackout is still very vitally important to keep. We're not important enough to keep playing at 3 o'clock because you need to put them on telly. One of the benefits is that League 1 and 2 have much more coverage, which I think is a benefit. League 1 will have 3 games per weekend. League 2 will have 2 games per weekend. I think I'm reading that right. And 5 from the Championship, which I think is good. I think it's good that they are getting more coverage. But John Morrell, get ready for some stupid kickoff times. Mm-hmm. Danny, this is the problem. This is the problem with the 3 p.m. blackout. That 10 games a week, I think it's great that you're giving coverage to these teams. I think it's fantastic. But if you're in the Championship, you're barely going to play a 3 p.m. game all season. You might play 5 3 p.m. games all season, which is the whole point. We want 3 p.m. games wherever possible. This 3 p.m. blackout. Well, thoughts on the deal?
I think the significant boost in games for League 1 and League 2 is a good thing. I've seen a lot of people making the joke for League 2 that it's going to be 124 Salford and Wrexham games, which I thought were quite funny. But yeah, I mean, we've been through some fixture windows where it's just all been Championship, which doesn't exactly seem fair. You know, when League 2 and League 1 exist, and the only ones in League 1 really, it seems like it's been Wednesday and Derby, weirdly. So yeah, that's good that they're getting more coverage. And like the 50% boost, it's might bring them a bit closer together if they spread them, like if you spread the games out over teams, which they won't. They'll pick and choose where they want, to be fair. It's like get ready for 10 Sunderland games in a row.
We'll get ready for Leeds come down.
Yeah, and Leeds and like Southampton, like, and maybe Leicester as well, depending. But I've just done it in my head. It's like the
sorry, that's a good. If Leeds come down, is it possible for Leeds to play 1,000 games?
Yeah, exactly. But this is thing they've said they'll be showing. Is it 10 games per fixture window?
Yes.
So does the fixture window count as Friday to Tuesday, or does it clock over again? Like that's where the asterisk is for me. It's like where do you draw that line? And then they've said about showing all the FL Cup and all the FL Trophy matches, which, yeah, I like that. But then you bring up the whole argument of people disagreeing with the FL Trophy. You know, we had like an attendance of, 900 when we went to Crewe or something like that. So it's like that's even less people going the big distances and such. But it's like you've got Friday night, Saturday lunchtime, maybe Saturday evening, Sunday as a whole, and then Monday night. That's really 5 time slots. Or they call it 6 if you have a Sunday early kickoff. So that's 6 time slots for 10 matches, which you're going to have to be doubling up somewhere with them, aren't you? Then have like your highlight event over a weekend. So it's like, you know, that's a lot of working out to do, and it's made more complicated by the blackout, which in modern football, we've had this debate before on the podcast, which in modern football doesn't quite make sense. I get why it was in place back in the day, but now you see massive amounts of attendances anyway, because people don't buy Sky and they go to the match anyway, so they make tickets more affordable. So it's that juggling act. If Sky struck this deal, Sky's prices are going to go up for newer customers. So it's potentially, but
there's rumours that Sky Sports are losing the Premier League. Now, how strong that actually happens with there's serious threat of the Premier League rights leaving Sky Sports within the next year or two. So I think this is them getting ready for that. But again, I'll go to you on this one, Mick, because you were old enough to remember ITV Digital. They came along, all singing, all dancing. They had the Sunday lunchtime, Sunday 4 o'clock. We're taking over the EFL. This is going to be brilliant. I remember we had quite a few games on Sunday afternoons. I think we had Birmingham on a Saturday night or a Friday night or something like that. Yeah. I played Portsmouth on a Thursday night. We played Portsmouth to travel up to us on a Thursday night. I remember that. This is exactly what it is again, Mick. This is another company thinking we're going to pay loads and loads of money and it's going to be amazing. But if Man U are playing at one of those times, or Man City are playing at one of those times, who are you going to choose to watch? You're going to watch Wrexham against Northampton Town or Man U against Newcastle?
I think what you probably find is the vast majority of actual real football supporters would end up watching Wrexham versus Northampton, because it's likely to be just as entertaining a game, if probably more entertaining, with less prancing about and cheating than you would when you see a Premier League game. I think the only thing about this is that if what you've said is true, and I can certainly see that happening about the Premier League going to somebody who's going to pay more for it. Maybe Sky have done quite a cute little deal here. Maybe, which is unusual for them, to be fair, because they just throw as much money as they possibly can at it and then pass that on to the customers, don't they? So we know as football supporters that watching Championship football, watching League One and League Two football is just as entertaining as Premier League, if not more entertaining. The Premier League is sterile; it's tourist football, is what it is. And it's tedious. I don't watch it anymore unless I can avoid it. If I can avoid it, it's just I can't stand it. I don't like it, and I would much rather watch a League One or a League Two game than I would a Premier League game personally. That's just me. One of the things that amused me from the announcement is that Sky have said that they will try and make the distribution of games more equitable across teams, which I find a bit embarrassing, really, or amusing. Because they won't. There is a reason why Sunderland, Leeds, the Pigs, Derby get on, because Sky see them as the bigger club, and therefore they'll get more. They'll get more viewers, which means they'll get more subscribers. In their heads, that's not actually how it works. But let them, whatever. So we'll have to wait and see whether it is more equitable once this new agreement comes into place. But whatever. There's football everywhere. You can watch football just about 24/7 nowadays from across the world, and some of it is, the vast majority of it, in my view, is better than watching the Premier League. So,
YouTube user says, I think it's what he watched Chesterfield this afternoon. The National League playoffs were today, and they were two sensational games.
They were cracking games.
They were amazing. And John, again, to kind of John says, I'll be honest, he watched Wednesday Derby and it made his eyes bleed. I get that, but for me, the games aren't just about the football and the quality of the football that's being played. That National League game, the quality wasn't very good, but there was so much drama. The atmosphere was amazing. It was just had absolutely everything. This time of the year is the best time of the year for football because there's so much riding on everything. If you didn't watch the playoff National League game, I recommend you go and watch the playoffs, the highlights. Sorry, because of belting, so good. 2-3-2s, I think it was in the end. Go and watch the highlights. Not ruin it for you, but they were brilliant. John Wells says Premier League will probably go its own way on streaming service. As you'd imagine, it's the way to make the most money. I think that's probably right. Mike Miller's too much football, too much greed among football clubs, too much greed amongst some players, too much incompetence in the boardrooms, too much ill-judged criticisms of referees, etc. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Another thing that we'll wrap up in a minute, but another thing, Danny, is that's really important for me. If Sky Sports are going to take this leap and make it, all this money, they've got to improve the coverage, because their punditry and their coverage of the EFL at the minute is average. I think their main commentators are pretty good. I like their main commentators. I think they speak well, which is the basic of a commentator. But I think most close commentators are poor. Most pundits in the studio are poor. They're just generic nonsense. And they've got to improve that side of it. That's the massive part they've got to improve for me.
Absolutely. I mean, there were a couple that they usually have on like the main event shows, which are absolutely bang on with what we talk about. I can't remember the names because I've not watched Sky enough this year, if I'm being honest. But yeah, there's a few who lead it well. But I think the perfect formula that they got for it was when I can't shocking with names, when the Northern Irish guy did Quest last season.
Colin Murray.
Yeah, Colin Murray, that's the one.
You're excellent,
when Quest had him and the various pundits that they had on, just talking EFL, that was the most bang-on thing. And then it went to ITV and it was shocking. But I think that's the thing. There's too much of a focus on bringing in, former players, former Premier League players, I might add. to go and commentate on EFL games, and it tends to be the same thing. That's why we've had so many memes of teams like Rotherham, because that's the result. They still have that mentality of, oh, it's just little Rotherham, Swansea should be beating them. Why? When they're in the same league, there's no given right to beat another team. They need people in who know the division, know the teams, know the EFL in general. You know, like not to throw a hat into the ring or anything, but someone like Gab Sutton, who does fantastic coverage on EFL games. His MK Dons prediction was horrific. I'm sorry, Gab, that was horrific. But
he predicted us to stay up. So
yeah, he predicted us to stay up. So you win some, you lose some. But someone who has that in-depth knowledge at EFL and knows how and knows how that team plays, rather than just having the stereotype of, oh, it's Rotherham, they're going to punt it long.
Yeah.
No, we're not like that anymore. We've evolved, and I think it's time for the punditry to evolve as well. So Sky, I'm looking for a job. If you want to message the podcast, we'll pick it up. And so, yeah, hello.
they could do worse than just getting each club their own individual commentator, and you choose your commentary you listen to.
That's not a bad shout. Actually.
That'd be great. I'd listen to Matt Goodwin or Sam Todd every day a week if I couldn't get to Rotherham.
Yeah, but then they'd leave iFollow and go to Sky. But we like them being iFollow.
As long as they're covering us, I'm not bothered.
Yeah. Unless you run it in tandem where it's iFollow on Sky as commentary.
I think this is the end of iFollow, to be honest with you. I think this is the end of it, I think. Chris Terrett, the red button is shocking. I tried watching the Huddersfield game on the red button last week. There's no replays. There's one camera. It's an absolute joke. Anyway. We'll see
how can F1 be so developed on Sky, but football lags behind? They have their own individual headset cameras at F1, but with Sky, they've promised like a minimum of 2 cameras at Sky Bet League 2 games. Like you need at least 4.
Go steady with 2 cameras.
You need big one. No, actually, no. You need at least 3. You need big one and then 2 at ends. Like you need at least 3 for it to be somewhat entertaining.
You do.
But anyway. I'm a Sky, right? Mink has referees. I have Sky. That's where our rants like.
Mick has Sky as well. Right, let's do some predictions for Monday's game. Mick.
2-0 Rotherham. Richard Wood, 83rd minute. Celebrates, runs straight off down tunnel.
I like it. Oh, that'd be beautiful, wouldn't it? Danny?
You know what? I'd quite fancy a 2-0 as well. But Wood and Kelly.
Wouldn't kill it. I'm going to go 4-0. I don't know. I worry about Wigan. To our benefit, obviously. But I worry about Wigan. Right. We will crack on there. We've got a few very kind comments. Should we put our self-esteem up a little bit?
Yeah, we'll inflate our egos a bit.
Says, we host 3 should be the hosts and pundits of Sky for the FL games. Mike the Miller very kindly says that we outshone many so-called professional commentators, pundits. Well done, and thank you. Thank you very, very kindly.
I think when we think about it, we all have a name that pops to our head, but if we speak, we're in big trouble.
Yeah. Josh 3-0, Reg 4, Michael 3, came here with 2-1. Simon Thorne goes, I think Simon always goes 3-1. I think we've pulled him in.
I think he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. YouTuber says 2-1. Jamie says 3-0. Russ Vernon says 3-0 with a Woody hat trick.
That'd be incredible.
We will end it there. We will be back on Wednesday, a day earlier, because of the Rotherham Women's game on Thursday. We don't want to clash with that because Danny's certainly going. Me and Mick are probably going. So we're not going to clash with that. We'll be back on Wednesday. Hopefully, we'll have something extra. Something we'll talk about on Wednesday. Please do subscribe if you haven't done already. If you fancy getting a Matt Taylor shirt, there is a very limited number that Kimbo Sports are doing, which will then help raise money for the Rotherham Hospice. Go on the Kimbo Sports website. That will tweet it out as well. Stress it again. All the money, there's no profit from us. There's no profit to Kimbo from it. Cover the costs, and the rest will go to the Rotherham Hospice, which is obviously one of the causes that we love to support. Please subscribe. All the good stuff. Danny, it's been a pleasure. And I'll see you at Wigan in your Dalmatian outfit.
Absolutely. I'm hoping for a win because it'll be our best championship season since 2003-04. So,
I like it.
Let's hope
One last point. Sorry, I should have said this. I've got a load of hats to give away. I've got about 10 New York Talk hats to give away. So I'm going to take them to Wigan tomorrow. If anybody sees me at Wigan, just ask for a hat and I will give you a hat if we have any left. I've literally got 10 or so left that Kimbo have given us. And Adam Orton, if you're listening, please do get in contact with us and we will arrange to give you this daft shirt as well. Yeah, Mick, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, you're very welcome.
Mick won't be in a Hawaiian shirt, yes, tomorrow.
I'll come in trunks.
No, don't do that. Yeah, so say hello. If you see me and Danny in a fancy dress in a Hawaiian shirt, say hello. We'll give you a hat if we can. And right, thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you next time. Thank you very much, boys and girls.
Bye.
You want me to do buttons, Matt, don't you? You said bye to everybody. And you get
I said that press the button. That was the cue to end.
Mick's got like one job on this show.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
That's you not getting on Sky now, Mick.
Ravel, vicious, brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The Magic Man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly.